Starting just with getting even weight on the right and left leg. Drawing tall through our spine. And if possible, coming into a heel raise right away. So lifting the heels, having weight through, even weight through the knuckles of the feet. It doesn't have to be high. As soon as the heels are off the ground, you're getting good strengthening. Good. And then we're going to put the right heel down and then the left. The right and the left. So you're spending more time balancing on with both heels up, I guess, right? Than you are with one heel down. So it's just a quick drop of the heel, quick drop. And this is what we mean by dynamic weight-bearing strengthening. You're moving quickly. You should feel tired in the calves, maybe the back of the legs, the hamstrings, maybe a little bit in the core, right? But this is how you can get a little bit of demand, bone mass, muscle mass in and around the ankles for support. Let's do 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1, and hold it here in a brief balance. Balance is so important. And rotate the head to look to the right, center, left, center, right, center. Oh, it's hard. If you need to put the heels down, you can. Oh, I feel my calves. And sink the heels. Good. We'll do a little stretch out at the end of the class, just so you're okay with that. We're going to move into a squat now. If you're going to limit the time that you exercise, squatting is like one of the biggest bangs for your buck or value for your time. When we're squatting today, we're really going to keep that neutral spine, so strong in your abdominals, as you sit back with the hips and keep the knees over the toes, right? Not beyond the toes if you can help it. So it's a sit back in an imaginary chair behind you and come back up. Sit back and come back up. With or without the weights, right? If you want to focus just on the legs, that's okay. As you come up, I want you to press the arms behind you a little bit to open across the chest. Breathe in to lower, out to come up. If you get the breath reverse, it's not the end of the world. It's just that out breath is trying to help you on the way up to use a little more of your core. 4, I know, so many. 3, 2, hold this one down, right? Shoulders away from the ears. So take those shoulders, press them down. Here we're going to pulse up. We're going to do 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come up. Just for a brief break because we're sitting back down. Ready? 8, 7, 6, 5. Try to squeeze the bum. Lift the pelvic floor. Draw in lightly with the abdominals. And remember to breathe. And coming up. Shake it out. You can do it. We want to be a little tired in our body tomorrow, a little bit tired in our muscles. Sitting back into your imaginary chair. Be long in your waist, relaxed in the shoulders. We pulse it again for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Press it up, shake it out. Last time. Sit back. And 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Press it up. Good. That's awesome. We're going to come back up to standing in a minute. Right now we're going to come down onto the mat. You can set your weights off to the side. If you do have low bone density, then to come down, keep that neutral spine as you come down to kneeling, using a chair or the wall for support if you need to get onto hands and knees. Coming to have the hands right under the shoulders, using the modifications we discussed at the beginning if you need to. The knees right under the hips. We're doing a little bit of shoulder movement here. So as you breathe in, keeping the head in line with the rest of the spine, the abdominals lightly drawn in, you're pressing the chest away from the mat, and then exhale to draw the shoulder blades back and in towards the spine. Press away and drop back. Press away, drop back. And we're doing this a little quicker on purpose. than we often do. You don't want to do it so quick that you don't have good form, because we want to avoid injury. But you're aiming to work the shoulders and tire them out a little bit and build that bone mass. Good. On the next one, you're going to hold this one 3/4 of the way up. A nice straight spine, nice neutral spine. Draw the head back if you let it drop at all. We're going to rock it back and forth a tiny bit. So you're going to rock the hips back towards the heels a bit, and forward, and forward. As you go forward, a nice support with the abdominals on the out-breath. You don't have to go beyond the hands, but you'll notice that you have to work harder as you come forward, in the hands anyway, in the arms, and strong in the shoulders. Right? Good. For 4, for 3, for 2, for 1. Beautiful. Take a rest for a second. Rock the hips back towards the heels. You can leave the arms overhead if that feels good, or you can wrap them around as we often do, back by the feet, but just giving those wrists a little break and lengthening in the low back where we're often a little bit tight. Good. Lovely. And then bring the arms forward for support. Coming ahead. Good. And this time coming down onto our elbows on purpose, not as a modification. But again, this is good weight bearing through the shoulders, good for nice shoulder strength. If you can have the forearms in parallel, great. And if you need to, you can put the palms together, even interlacing the fingers. But I want you to feel like, you're not sagging into the shoulders and the chest isn't really close to the mat. You're really, shoulders away from the ears, press the chest away from the mat, tuck the chin lightly. Your eyes will be looking down sort of at your elbows now, or your forearms, not ahead. And you're here. Good. You can bring your knees close, and if you have them too far in front of you or ahead, it's going to be hard. You got to move the legs back a little bit because you actually want to have some weight in the arms. And you might just stay here, right? Depending on your strength and ability level and maybe old shoulder injuries, maybe just lingering here and breathing is hard enough, right? If you can, we're going to press stronger into the left leg. Keep a nice strength in the upper body. Reach the right leg back, and we're going to lift the right leg and lower it back down. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. Keep the chest pressed away from the mat. Right? This is endurance in our shoulders and good for the upper body bone mass, but also getting some good strengthening of our gluteals, our hip extensors, which are so important for balance. Good. Let's do 3 more. Good. And lower the leg. If you need a break, take it at any time. Slide the left leg back. Press the chest away from the mat a little more. Try to give yourself lots of space between your breastbone and the mat. Lift and lower the left leg. Right? And anybody can use this, right? It's designed, with, muscle strengthening and bone mass in mind, but really it's just good for all of us to move and all of us to push our strength limits a little bit. Good. Let's do 3 more. 2, 1. Beautiful. From there, just a brief rock back to lengthen in those hip extensors that we just worked, to lengthen in the glutes. Good. And then coming forward onto our belly from there, just to do a bit of posture that's so important for all of us, really. Good. So here, we're just going to be basic today. We're going to leave the legs heavy and relaxed on the mat. If it's tight in your hips, you can put the legs a little bit wider. Right? Draw in with the belly. So just a breath first, to breathe in and feel how much of your belly is connected to the mat. And as you breathe out, I want you to imagine like you're keeping your belly off of the mat. You're drawing the skin of your tummy away from the leggings of your pants. right? That's the support you need in the front body as we lift and work the back body, right? So here we are. Nice breath in, out breath, draw in with the abdominals first, then lift up with the face, the throat, the breastbone, and release it back down. Exhale to come up. Since we're strengthening today, we're doing this quickly, but if you have any discomfort in your, especially in your low back, or if this is just a very challenging exercise and position for you to be in, then take it slow. And that's okay. You can do it at half the speed that I'm doing it. You'll still get wonderful strengthening, right? The idea just with this video is that we're working on power as well as strength. So, and you don't have to come up very high. As soon as you lift the weight of the head and a little bit of the breastbone off the mat, you're getting good extension and strengthening in those back muscles. If this is easy, then keep the hands attached to the forehead. Float up, float down, float up, float down. There's a big difference between leaving the arms on the mat and lifting them up with your, with your spine. So if you start doing this, more advanced version and you suddenly get pain in the low back or just doesn't feel right, then stick with the first version until you gain a little more strength and then move to this extension. Good. You're just going to hold the last one, whether you have the arms up or the arms on the mat. And I want you to imagine getting taller out of the top of your head. Reach the top of your head, the crown of your head, towards the wall in front of you or whatever there. Draw in with the abdominals. And then I want you to lift a little higher, not an uncontrolled bounce, but just a tiny pulse for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Very little, very controlled, but very hard for the muscles, right? Good. Now our wrists are feeling happier, I think. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders or rib cage. On your out breath, draw in with the abdominals so you keep a nice straight spine as you press up. That's really hard to do, but a nice thing to practice. After that extension, sometimes it's nice to just stretch back once again into our rest pose. Just taking your time, letting the hips and the back soften after we've been in extension. Good. And then we're going to come forward one more time to be weight bearing through our arms. And we're going to do tiny push-up, like a little mini push-up. And you're going to choose how much weight you put in your hands. So have the hands just shoulder width apart, maybe a little wider, comfortable. Spread the fingers if you can. Pull the thumbs, out away from that first finger. Press into the hands. Be strong there. And then your movement is going to be just to bend the elbows, and then we're going to do a little pulse. But it's going to be good strengthening for us. It probably is going to be hard enough on hands and knees, but if you're stronger, you can move the knees back and be more in a modified plank. You can even go from the toes if you're really used to doing push-ups, but I doubt if you're at that point, you're probably not choosing this video, probably, eh? But choose your, I'll go somewhere in between. So the more the knees are back, like out from under your hips, the more you're going to have to work hard in the abdominals and the more weight you're going to have in the hands. So this is easier. As you walk the knees back, it's harder. And what we're going to do is we're going to bend the elbows with control. So that just means keeping the shoulders nice and wide. Really press the chest away from the mat before you bend the elbows. Good? And here, we're going to pulse for 4, 3, 2, 1, and then straighten the elbows. I know, eh? But we're going to try to do that again. Bend the elbows. 4, 3, 2, 1. Straighten. Bend the elbows. It's tiny little controlled pulse. But this is our dynamic weight bearing. This is trying to get the muscles to pull on the attachments to the bone, to compress through the bone a little bit, to try to stimulate some 4, 3, realized I wasn't counting for you, sorry, to stimulate some bone mass, some bone growth. Last time, bend the elbows, 4, 3, 2, 1, press it up. Rock it back once again into your rest pose. If the arms weren't tired at the end of that, then you need to move the knees back further next time. so that you feel that you're working in and around the shoulders. You become tired in the arms. Gorgeous. Take one more beautiful breath into the low back. Let the shoulder blades spread, the shoulders relax. And then with the hands, especially if you have low bone density, help yourself in a nice neutral spine to come up to tall kneeling. And we're going to do one more nice strengthening for our legs, right? It's not all about the arms. We've got to keep the hips strong, the femurs, and even transferring that into the spine itself, the strength. So we're going to try to come up without using our hands if we can. If you need to, don't worry, but trying to put one leg forward without losing our balance. And then if you need to support, hand on thigh or something beside you, you can, or try not to. Try to push into that front leg, keep a nice long tall spine, and then coming up to standing. But that's sort of like your gold standard. If you can do that, great, but if you can't, it's just worth aiming for. So we're going to do another exercise where we're strengthening the legs, and you can have the weights in the hands to do a little bit of bicep curl, or if the arms have just had enough, that's fine. This is more for the legs, right? So, and what we're going to do is we're going to be doing a little bit of a lunge, and we're also going to challenge our balance. So you can do just the strengthening part, just the lunge part. You don't have to do the balance, but just realizing that, we're trying to push ourselves, we're trying to get strong and good balance because we want to prevent falls. So just do what you're able to. If you need to put down the weights and have a chair or a wall beside you, you want to be safe, right? So here we are with our right leg back, left leg forward, or you can do the opposite if you want. And what we're going to do is we're going to be long through our spine. So just get in, feel the weight of your head over the weight of the rib cage, over the pelvis. The front knee is going to stay over that foot. As you lower down into your lunge, you bend the elbows to 90 degrees. And from here, we're going to lower a little deeper and bend the elbows a tiny bit more for 8, for 7, for 6, for 5, for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1. From here, if you want to add the balance, you're going to take the hands to the hips and you're just going to come forward to a nice, what we call tabletop, the thighs vertical, and then reach it back. Find that lunge position again, right? Lower down, bend the elbows to 90 degrees, and from here, we're going to do 8 more where you lower a little bit and bend the elbows for 8, 7, 6. Don't forget to breathe. 3, 2, 1, balance. Oh, we're tired, right? But we can do one more set with this leg. Reaching back, and the knee is fairly straight to start with because you're going to lower more. So lower and bend the elbows for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. A nice balance. Lowering that front leg, shake it out, and we're going to finish just with the same exercise on the other side. So reaching back with the other leg now. So my right leg's forward, left leg's back. Lowering a little bit, finding 90 degrees with the elbows, and lowering a bit more while you bend the elbows for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Balance. Or omit the balance, just come into a rest position, standing. Reach back, and bend the elbows, lower down into the lunge, and it's 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come and balance. Oh, we got our last set here. Good. Your lunge can be shallow, meaning it doesn't need to be super deep, right? It's just what you can control. As long as your legs are working, then the bones are working too. So we have 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last balance if you're doing that. Good. Put the leg down. Set the weights down. And then just a last stretch as promised. Let's take the right leg back, having a chair or the wall for support because this is held, and just working a little bit in the calves and stretching out in the front of the hip. So we have the front leg is just really for support, the knee is over the foot, and we're going to have the heel of the back leg on the mat, and you're leaning ahead, shifting your weight forward until you feel a stretch in the lower leg. And from there, we're just going to raise up the heel and put it back down, and maybe feel that you can deepen into that stretch. Raise the heel, put it back down. If you need to lean ahead a little more to get that feeling of a gentle stretch back, great. Last time. Gorgeous. From there, you can raise the heel a little bit if you need to. It's not about the lower leg anymore. It's about the front of the hip and the thigh where we just worked. And just take your pelvis and tuck it forward a little bit. So it's like you're trying to tuck your tailbone down and forward between the legs, or the pubic bone forward, so that you feel a stretch in the front of the leg here. And again, have something to balance so you can get that. And if it feels right, if you have the left leg back, have the right arm come up, just for a whole length through that side of the body. And then exhale it down, and we'll do that same stretch other leg. So left leg back into your stretch position. So you have your right leg forward for balance, the knee over the right foot, and then the left heel stays grounded to the mat, and you shift your body weight forward, holding onto a chair if you need to, or the wall, or the counter in front of you, and feeling that length in the lower leg, the heel, the Achilles tendon area, or the calf. Wherever you're tight, that's where you'll feel that stretch. And then we'll raise the heel and we'll put it back down, and you might feel like, oh, that's good, that released a little bit. Sometimes when you contract a muscle, you can deepen into the stretch. Beautiful. Shifting the weight forward a little more if you feel that, oh yeah, that's lengthening and you don't feel as much of a stretch anymore. Good. And then you can raise the heel a little bit if you need to, because you don't want the lower leg to limit you now. You want to feel it in the front of the hip. And then take that pelvis, tuck it forward, out in front of you. Right? You're not leaning back with the body, but you're just feeling like you tuck that tailbone forward and you get the stretch in the front of the thigh, in the front of the hip where you just worked. Good. If it feels good, then you can. If you've got a free arm, raise that left arm overhead, the same as your leg, just to feel length through that side. And then step it forward. And just shake it out. Hopefully you feel fatigued in your legs and your upper body. We're trying to get value for our time there. And if it leaves you feeling a little bit sore tomorrow muscularly, great. It means you need to do it again. Not the same day, but later. And yeah, do it until it feels good, until you feel like you can push yourself a little more, and then you can choose a little more difficult video. Awesome. So just to end, we're going to raise the arms overhead. And out, opening it wide across the chest as those arms come down. And one more time. Awesome. Good. Thank you very much for tuning in and pushing yourself and keeping with it for the whole time. I will see you next time. Have a great day. Ciao.